Hi, Natasha. Awesome. Good morning, everyone. From Victoria, BC, Canada. My name is Chrystacle, and I am a master educator for Ugly Duckling Nails. Good morning. Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Maria. Hello, everyone. I just want to, first off, thank Alina so much for starting off our demo weekend with her wonderful baby boomer fade with our Ugly Duckling gel. So if you guys didn't get a chance to have a look at that live, you can view it on our wall. Hello. So I'm very excited because this weekend marks a special time for Ugly Duckling Nails. This weekend is in celebration for our 5th HATCHIVERSARY. We have been in the industry for 5 years now, which is really hard to believe at times, and yet it does seem like it's been forever. But we kind of wanted to do a special weekend with awesome demos, free education, and we are also offering our 10% off Hatch10 code for our entire website. But here's the thing, for all of you who are watching our live videos, we are giving you a different code to use. We are giving you our Hatch15, so you guys will save 15% off of our entire product line. So that is a special discount code for those who are taking the time to join us over the weekend and watching our demos. So thank you so much. We look forward to being able to connect with you all this weekend with our lives, showing you some awesome techniques, different demos from each of our Ugly Duckling family members using our Ugly Duckling products. So we are here for your support. I do have my Ugly Duckling team behind me when I actually go to do my demo, because it'll be hard for me to interact and help answer questions when I'm showing you my design. But I also wanted to share a cute little story. So for most of you who know me, and what I do for my nails is a lot of bling and crystals. So last night we were actually, my daughter and I, my 10-year-old daughter, we were driving to go get groceries, and I just reminded her that today I have my demo at 10, so mommy is busy for a little bit, so no interruptions, because today is a pro D for them. And she's like, "Oh, Mom, what are you going to be demoing today?" And I was like, "Well, isn't it obvious? What do I always do?" And she's like, you should do something cute for the Hatchiversary weekend." And I was like, "What do you suggest?" And she's like, "You should paint a duck." And for those who know me, I can't even paint a stick person and make it look good. And she thinks that I can paint a duck for you all today. So I just kind of broke it to her easily and said, "You know, that's a good idea, sweetie, but I'll leave that to the hand painters in the nail world, because mommy sure can't hand paint a stick person, let alone a little ducky." So just so you guys know, no duckies are on the table today with my demo. But I just wanted to share that because I thought that was cute, and she believed in me that I could paint a duck, and that is not what I'm going to be doing for you today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the camera around, so give me half a second. I'm going to do it without losing you guys. And I'm going to just kind of talk to you a little bit about what I'm doing and our draws and how you can enter. So give me half a second here, and I'm just going to flip this around. You're going to go up to the roof for a second. Now, how do I flip it? Oh, right here. Perfect. Okay, I did that, and I haven't lost you guys yet, so just bear with me for half a second. I've got my buddy Duke the Duck here right now. Oh, there we go. Perfect. We're still here. Okay. So this is Duke the Duck. He wanted to come in and say hi to everybody. Hello. So I'm just going to put this on screen for just half a second here, so that this is the code that you guys want to enter into our website at uglyducklingnails.com. Again, you can take a look at our distributors online to see if there is one near you, or one distributor that you primarily deal with for Ugly Duckling nail products. So Hatch15 is what you're going to be entering in to receive 15% off our Ugly Duckling products. And we are also doing draws for each of the educators and nail artists that will be doing a demo today and tomorrow to win $150 Canadian value of Ugly Duckling products. And these products are going to be that artist's favorite Ugly Duckling products for that gift package. So how you do it is you're just going to recreate the design that I'm doing today by May 1st is the deadline. You'll want to follow Ugly Duckling Nails, Ugly Duckling Products, and Chrystacle, which is me, on Instagram, as well as when you go to post, you want to hashtag Chrystacle Demo. That way we're able to track and see where the entries are done, and I will compile them all after May 1st. So that is what you want to do in order to be entered into my draw. I will put this on the screen at the end just so you guys can also take a look if you don't have a pen available to jot this down. But I'm just going to move this to the side, and I'm going to fix my camera angle a bit because it is just a little bit dippy. Okay, perfect. So today what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a demo showing you guys how to create my 40 roses. These 40 roses are pretty basic. I'm going to just teach you how I do them, my way that works best for me. And we're going to create it into a cluster on my middle finger. And as you can see, I have kind of done a reverse pattern. So on these nails, I've done the nail plate, the nail bed with crystals, and kept the French line of the tip open. And for this middle finger, we are going to do the opposite of this one. So I'm going to place the rose at the deepest part of my smile line, and I'm going to create my French line using crystals. So the crystals will be in the French tip, and the nail plate, nail bed will be pink with our Foo pink. I sculpted these nails. Before I continue, I just get confirmation that everyone can see okay, the clarity and the lighting is okay. Can I get some hearts, or Natasha, just let me know before I continue? Hopefully it's okay. Sometimes too when I'm doing, oh, you know what? Hold on. I forgot. I moved this big light out of the way. Okay, I think that's better. I just moved my big light to the side when I was doing my introduction. So I think that's pretty good. The clarity to me looks okay. Yes, perfect. Okay, thank you guys. So that is what my demo is for you today. I sculpted these nails using our fabulous new Z Extreme forms. These beautiful forms were designed by Zarinka. She is an international judge and does a lot of extreme shaping. So we wanted to be able to have a form for all of you extreme shapers out there. And as you can see, we have different shapes on the form, but also basic salon shapes that you can do as well. So if this maybe is something that you've been looking for or seeking, we have an amazing form. This is recently new to us. So I used this form to sculpt my nails, and I used our Ugly Duckling Foo Pink. So I'm going to be doing the 40 roses today using Foo. This is a lovely full coverage pink. I'll show you guys here. So we're going to start off by doing the 40 roses using Foo. And I've got my monomer all ready to go in our crystal dapping dish. And I'm going to actually be using the form paper. So you can use forms if you want. Sometimes I find the forms when I'm creating my 40 roses is a little bit too slippery. So I like to use the form paper, not the back side, but the one that has the satin finish where the form attaches to create my 40 roses. So I'm just going to put that aside. So those are the items that you will need in order to create the 40 roses. And also too, I just wanted to show you guys, this is my own personalized brush case that Mother Duck Yvonne gifted all the educators of the 2019 5K. And we do have these available in two kinds. We have plain tabs, and we also have our crystal tab pull as well. But I just wanted to show you guys because it's nice to have your brush case all ready to go. So I've got all my Ugly Duckling brushes ready to go for when I do my demos or my work on my clients. It just keeps everything nice and organized. So we do have brush cases available. Alrighty, so what I'm gonna do here is just grab, I took a extra piece from the form that I used yesterday, I kept, and I'm going to use, you guys can, I find using the number 8 the best, but you can use a larger brush if you choose. When I'm sculpting my 4D, I am actually just using the tip of the brush, so just the tip, to create those petals. And we'll be using Fufu. You guys can use any of our colored acrylics as well. Completely up to you what you choose to do. I just find some of the maybe heavier sparkle acrylic powders might be a little bit more difficult to achieve more of a detailed 40 rows. So it just completely depends on what look you are looking to achieve. So I'm gonna start with showing you guys how to create the 40 rows and have that ready. And then I'm gonna touch base on the nail. All right, so we also do want a surface for this rose to go on. And what I like to do is take a little bit of our Stick It, which is one of Chrystacle's favorite products, of course. I use it for all my bling work. And I am going to apply a little bit of this onto either a piece of form, which actually I'll use this here. And when we go to create the center piece of the rose, I'm going to attach it on a little bit of Stick It, cure it so that it is secure on the paper or whatever surface you're using, so that I'm able to build those petals around the rose. Alrighty, so I have everything ready to go, and we're just going to go slow here, and I'm just going to show you how to start off the rose. Now, depending on the size of nail that you're working with. For example, here is where I'm planning on placing my rose. I might not want it as large as this one. So it depends on what you're going to be doing with the rose and the size of the nail you're working with for the size that you want to create, if that makes sense. And again, if this is something that you've never really done before, it does take a lot of practice. And I have done a lot of 40 roses in the past. These are pretty basic ones to achieve. It's not too hard, but it does take a little bit of practice to get the technique down correctly, making sure that the petals are thin enough so that when you are wrapping it around the rose, the center of the rose, it's not looking too bulky or too thick. So when I start off, again, I might create this rose and it might be so big that it's just going to be an overpowering rose, but no big deal, because of course in this design it is going to be it's going to stand out more so. So I just want to make sure that I'm doing it large enough so that you guys are able to see in the camera okay. So I'm just going to pick up a little bead. Okay, and I'm just going to place it down on my form paper, give it a second to settle, and then it's almost like I'm creating, this is quite wet. In this case, it's good because I have time to play with it, especially if you're just getting familiar with roses. I don't want it to be too thick, so if I find that when I'm pressing it out to create that thin petal, I can actually remove some of it if it's too much, okay? So I'm just going to lightly pat it out. I want it to be thin. If it's too thick, it's going to look too bulky. The idea of creating a rose is to have that dainty look. And because it's the center one, I don't want it to be too thick either, too wide, I should say. Okay, you want it to be, this is going to be a small rose, so I'm creating the height to be small, because once you start seeing how I wrap my petals around the center, you will notice how it's going to start getting higher and higher a little bit. So I keep chopping a little bit off because I can tell by patting it out that it's going to be too much and I want to thin it out. So I'm going to show you guys what that looks like if we can see on the paper. I don't know if you can see. It is very, very thin. Okay, so that's what you want to kind of go for. This is going to be this is going to be where the base is, and this will be the top of that center petal. And here's the thing, it's kind of like a horseshoe shape, like a soft moon shape. Every time I do a flower, it always turns out slightly different. And I just kind of experiment with the petals. If I want to have softer outer ridges, like more of a round petal. Or if you want to have more of a pointier, dramatic rose, you can create the points, you can create the petal points a bit more pointy. So it just comes down to what you prefer. We want to wait till it kind of turns to a satin finish and not wait too long. So this is also getting used to the drying time, depending on if, you know, your room temperature is cooler or if it's, you know, it's more humid in your salon or your environment that you're working in. And I'm just going to take the tip of my brush and start to flick. I'm going to start to flick up the petal corners here, okay? And if it sticks to my brush too much, I know it's not quite dry, but I think this is a pretty good consistency. So what I want to start doing is rolling that petal together, the center part, okay? Creating without smushing it. It's very gentle. I keep rolling off that petal with the tip of my brush and I slowly roll it together, trying to keep this area all connected. And sometimes, you know, I'll do petals. Trust me, not every rose that I do, I'm super happy with, you know, either the centerpiece or how the petals turn out. If you're not happy, just start again. It's all good. These are time consuming. And if you're wanting to do it for a client, I definitely recommend doing it before you start a set of nails. Because, you know, on average, when I am pretty fast and I'm doing it consistently, it could take 15 to 20 minutes for a rose. Okay? So I've rolled this together like a cinnamon bun. And I want to make sure that last little edge here is tucked in nice and tight. If we start leaving these petals with the ends flicked out, it's really going to be hard to keep wrapping around. So now what I'm going to do is I think I'm happy with this. I don't know until I pick it up, but I'm going to put a little dab of my Shtick-It onto foam paper or, let me just grab my, just gonna foam paper, whatever surface you're working with. And again, you don't need a lot. Okay, so I'm just gonna use my Blinger tool because it's got that little dotting end on it. I'm just picking up a little bit of our Shtick-It and I'm going to put it on my foam paper. Just enough for it to sit up nice and straight. And I'm gonna just pick it up with the tip of my brush, plop it on there, and you guys can see that center rose is starting to form. All right, and it's very thin. The petal is very thin, and that's going to help achieve that very dainty look of a rose. And of course, I love everything vintage and soft, as Natasha knows. And for me, doing roses and adding them into cluster work is my favorite thing. I just love the way they look. So I wanted to share with you guys how I achieve that look. Okay, so now while that one's curing, we're going to start the second little petal. And each petal is going to be, it's going to grow. So we're going to start off smaller, and then the last petals that we do are going to be a little bit bigger. Okay, and every time you do this, like I say, you're just kind of getting familiar with it. And you can keep working. As long as you kind of figure out the drying time, the curing time of the product, you can just keep the petals flowing on the paper. Once it's kind of in that set stage, you can pick it up and put it around and keep building your rose without stopping. And that overall will help with your time. Just gonna turn, I just cured that in our Ugly Duckling LED lamp. Okay. Yeah, I know these are so tiny, you guys. It's hard to probably see, but I will put the rose up nice and close once we, once I start adding. This is the most time-consuming part, but it's fun. I enjoy doing it. And if you want to create like a two-tone ombre type flower, you can double dip your beads with 2 different colored acrylics and have the tips one color and the center another, which is always nice. I'm just gonna take a bit off. I used to use our 3D brush to create these, and you can, absolutely, definitely. But for me, I just found it was easier to get that nice, flat, thin flower. You know, here's our 3D brush. So it was easier when I'm creating bigger ones to pat out with my number 8 than it is to use my 3D. But a lot of people choose to use the 3D brush for doing this type of work as well. Okay, so I did actually crank up the heat in here before I started working, so I have to be aware of my time. And if I can get through one rose without making one mistake in the petal, then that's awesome. But the last rose that I did, and see, because it's thin, you need to get it at that right consistency. If not, you're going to completely rip apart that petal, because it is super dainty, super fragile. But I'm just slowly picking that off, just working it. And that's why I like to use the back of a foam paper to do this, because it helps to glide it off nice and easily. And you have to be patient. So now we want to attach this while it still has a bit of tacky layer. And I'm gonna attach the center of this to the last part we left off on. I'm gonna push it against the base, okay? And I'm gonna slowly use my finger here, because it is setting up fast, and I'm gonna wrap it, okay? And I'm gonna wrap it, but don't completely attach. I'm only attaching the bottom of the petal, not the top, because we wanna be able to see down the rose. And this was borderline almost too dry, but it's still attached okay. If you're finding that the petal is not sticking, you can put a little bit of dab of stick it right there to hold it down. But right now I still want this center to be a little bit tight before I start opening up the petals. So you guys can kind of see that is working nicely. And if you want, you can, you know, take the tip of your brush and kind of push over to open up that rose a little bit. I'm happy with that. Next one, we're going to do a petal here, and then I'm just going to work myself around a couple times and just go from there. Okay. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Now we start to get a little bit bigger with our beads. So when you guys recreate my demo, I don't mind if you guys do a reverse with the application that I am doing today. I just want to see your 40 roses with Bling incorporated. So whether you do half a nail or you do a cluster with that, I will accept that, no problem. You don't have to, you know, do the cluster like the French tip that I'm doing, but I just want to see your 40 roses. Take 2. Again, this process is time consuming, so please bear with me. And like I said to my daughter yesterday too, you know, and honestly, respect to all of those amazing hand painters in the industry who can create beautiful works of art with doing, you know, like basically painting a picture on a tiny canvas is unbelievable, really. And I always tried, and I remember once Natasha and we sat down and did, I guess a few years ago, just chilling and playing nails, and I wanted to do some hand painted stuff, like how she can create, you know, her beautiful designs too. And I was not having fun. I was not enjoying what I was doing, because for me, it's not what I enjoy to do. And everyone definitely has their own techniques. They have their own skill and, you know, their own craft on what they like to do in this nail industry. And that's what makes every single artist have their own unique style, which is amazing. And we are so blessed to have such a great variety of nail artists and educators on our Ugly Duckling team who do just that, everything a little bit differently. And it's very cool to see. And I know Natasha and I have been in the industry for 14 years now, and Mother Duck has been in the industry for 40 years. And just being able to look back and hear stories of how the industry was then, when, you know, we weren't even involved, and how the industry has come along and changed with different techniques and trends is just really cool. And I really love seeing that. Okay, I should pay attention here. We're going to take off the next petal and very slowly work it off. And as I'm doing it, you guys can see I'm kind of rolling it. So it's kind of bending it and creating that shape to already wrap around the rose, which will make my job so much easier. Okay, so now again, we're going to apply this right where we ended the last two. And then
slowly work it around. I'm trying to just pay attention here because it is drying quite quickly. I might have made a bit of a mistake with cranking up the heat. But again, I don't want this rose to necessarily be huge because it is going to be the center part of my, French. So I don't want it to overpower the French line. I might just do one more little one because I'm, of course, going to be encasing it with bling. But you guys can get the general idea on how to create those roses. Now, if you're not acrylic tech and you want to create these, no problem. We have our 3D gel, which you can, it's a white gel. We only have the one color, but you can mix it with gel color, gel polish to create different colors. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. And use gel, which is awesome as well. So again, if you guys aren't familiar with how the 3D gel works, you can take a look on our YouTube channels. We have videos. I know Natasha has done some from previous live Level Up weekend events on how to use a product, so you guys can see. Because I know not every time you're able to use an acrylic product depending on the environment that you're working in, and we totally understand that. So having that 3D gel to be able to take place for acrylic is an excellent option. I'm going to just finish this one petal, you guys, because I want to get into the rest of the demo. But you can make it as small as you want. You can create little rose buds, big roses, whatever you like. I actually made out of our Fufu acrylic, I made huge roses that I actually made earrings out of, which is kind of cool. Did that a few years back as well. But it's just, you know, have fun with. I hope everyone's not even looking at I can't see the comments at all, unfortunately, because my claw is hiding them. So but I will be part of all the other demos this weekend, so we can always connect there. Okay, so you guys can see the more I press into it when it's kind of in that transition curing stage, I think it's really hard to see, it's kind of creating little dips and little lines. That just creates more definition in the petals, and it just overall makes the flower look good. Now, I'm going to let this set for a quick second. I just noticed something that I want to point out. Again, how I mentioned thin petals, but again, there is too thin, because I just noticed, which for me, I noticed right away, is a little crack in the top petal here. So that area was too thin, which I don't like, but it overall, once you put bling on, you're not going to see it. But again, not too thin. You don't want to go too thin or else it's going to break that petal. Okay, so let's scoop off our last little petal here. Work quickly because it is setting fast. Oops, we're in the camera, see? And for this one, you can keep it more open. So I can fluff open the petal, like kind of open it up and curl it under to give that realism of a flower or actual rose. And then, yeah, there we go. So we can keep that end open and just curl it under. Flip open that last petal. It just kind of creates more life. And it's really cute too. You can add little dips of, little droplets of gel to kind of give that condensation wet look. Little droplets of water on the rose. But I'm going to leave it at that. I am done with the rose. I just want it to fully set and cure. Now, wearing these roses, I've never really had an issue with breakage. Like, I always wear them in clusters, and my petals are generally thin. The one I pointed out is a bit too thin, so that might actually break if I whack it good enough. But overall, the sturdiness of the 40 rose really holds up well with wear, just so you know. All right, so I'm just going to shuffle this to the side, and we are going to start with application of our 40 rose and bling. So we just launched, I want to share with you guys while that one's setting, up a little bit, I want to share with you guys our clear as mud crystals. So if you guys aren't familiar, we have had our clear as mud crystals in our AB, white opal, and crystal clear for a while now, but we've introduced new shapes. So these ones are our flat backs. These are 10 packs with our different shapes in our clear only right now. So I'm going to be using these in my design. So it's these ones, the bigger ones that are very reflective. Absolutely love them. These are canine crystals, really high quality, amazing to work with. So if you guys are looking for an alternative for crystals, we have an amazing selection. We just introduced our flat back colors recently, and they come in 144 packs. We have 11 colors altogether. These aren't all of them. Let me just see. I've already taken some out of their packages, but we have Montana, which is a deep blue. We have beautiful Tanzanite, that nice purple. We have aquamarine, light rose, rose opal. I'll show you these ones because they're a bit bigger. And they all come with the Ugly Duckling header card, Tanzanite. And then fuchsia, which is also very beautiful. So we have great selection of colors. At this time, we don't have every single size in each color at the moment, but we will very soon. So go check out our website at all the selection of crystals that we do offer. I always have my little trusty selection of bling that I'm going to be using for my demo today. So you can see how sparkly and how beautiful these are. Oh my goodness. I always get a little distracted with these. And my daughter, she definitely doesn't take after me. She doesn't like bling. She doesn't like it when I wear bling. So I have nobody in the household to appreciate it like I do. But I just like to look and stare at the clarity in these stones. Amazing. So these are what I'm going to use today. I've got them all ready to go. I love mixing all my crystals together. I like to work in chaos opposed to taking out of each compartment. I do have them all stored in separate plastic compartments that keep everything nice and organized. But when I'm doing my demos or work, I'll just take what I need and put it on my little trusty crystal palette. All right, so we're ready to go. What I'm going to do is start by sealing. I have finished filed this nail, but I don't have a top coat on. So I want to actually finish this nail with a matte finish. So we're going to apply our matte top coat first. So our 3-time award-winning lovely matte top coat before I start to apply my crystal cluster. I combined the two words. I'm going to start off with our matte. I just wanted to let everyone know, if you're finding that your Ugly Duckling matte is not turning matte and it comes out a little bit satin, give your bottle a good shake for a minute. If you haven't used your matte bottle in a while, what happens is the matte pigment actually settles and you need to shake it in order to stir up the matte pigment. So if you're finding that it's not perfectly matte, then just give it a good shake, okay? So I'm going to do a thin layer of our matte top coat. Whoops, too much coming out there. Before I start to apply my bling, okay? Now with our matte top coat, cure it for 60 seconds in our LED light. And once it comes out, it will have an inhibition layer. So that will have to be removed before applying the bling. Okay, awesome. So it doesn't have to be perfect on the tip because we're going to cover it anyways. And I'm going to do a full cure for 60 seconds. There we go. Okay. So that's our matte top coat. I love using matte with crystals because it's kind of neat. It basically sits in the background of your nail and allows the bling to really shine. Whereas sometimes using a no wipe top coat, which I love, just depends on what design I'm doing. But lately I've been using a lot of matte with my crystal work because it looks so cool. So just a little tip. as you play, you start to discover more things and what works. Might as well put this in here while I'm curing. If you guys want to jot that down, all the info that you need to do in order to enter my specific draw. Again, hatch 15 at checkout to receive 15% off of our Ugly Duckling products. I'm just going to kind of see if I can peek in and see any comments. It's easy to get distracted by the sparkle. Oh, yes. It's funny because the girls and gentlemen at work here at Ugly Duckling Nails probably just roll their eyes every time, you know, I look at crystals, or I'm doing crystals, or I'm looking at our crystal products, like, because I get maybe a little crazy over it, because I love Bling so much. And it's hard to explain that, but I do. I really, really do. And this weekend, I am watching all the live events, and I'm going to be blinging out my fridge. I'll post pictures of what that looks like later when it's completed, but it is going to be covered in bling. Well, all right, I think that's good. I think I had it on past the 60-second setting. Yeah, it's on to stay on. Okay, so now I'm just going to take a little bit of, you know, I took my gel cleanse and it's not at my table. So I'm just going to do a dry wipe right now, but generally I use our cleanse to remove it. So now you guys can see how matte that is compared to the shine. Just lovely. Love the matte. And it feels super smooth as well. Okay, you guys, let's move on. So what I'm going to start off by doing is placing on my rose and then working around that. So what I'm going to do is just going to take a pair of nippers, and I'm just going to carefully, I'm going to bend the form. This form is wrecked. All right, and just peel it off gently. I'm just going to poke it off just very gently. There we go. Now, as you guys will see shortly here, it's hard to hold it. We've got a little bit of a point, and I'm going to try to just take my nippers, and I'm just going to cut off that bit of stick-it gently. I've done this where I have accidentally cut too far into the acrylic and whoopsies, my rose broke open, which you don't want to do, so be careful. But now my rose is all ready to go, and let's just put it on my black surface here so we can maybe see a bit more detail. Because once I put it onto the foo-foo, because it's the same color, it might blend in a little bit. So I'm going to take my blinger tool and my stick-it, and I'm going to kind of mark the center where I want my rose to sit for the smile line. So of course I like deep smile lines, so I'm going to probably put my rose here and kind of build up my smile line up high because I want it to be nice and deep. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take a little bit of our stick-it, and I'm going to put it right in the center where I'm going to place my rose. Now keep in mind, depending on what size bling or embellishments that you're working with will determine the size of stick-it or the amount that you use. If you're finding that you're losing bling or things aren't staying on, you may need to adjust your application of the stick-it because you can apply too little when you need more for certain items. So now I'm just going to, I can actually use my hands to do this one. And I'm going to place it on. And we're going to make sure it's nice and center. I think it's good. And I'm going to cure it. And when you go to cure it, make sure you watch it because you don't want it to slide and shift. Now, stick-it, as you can see, is clear now. You may have received your stick-it that has a cloudy look to it, completely frozen, or a gritty texture that does not look like this. No problem. There's nothing wrong with the stick-it. Unfortunately, in cooler temperatures and in transit, the stick-it tends to freeze and will not return back to its original consistency until the stick-it is warmed up. And it's interesting because as long as it's not completely rock hard frozen, which it doesn't happen too often, but it's more of a cloudy, thick, gritty consistency, I actually like working with that only because it is thicker. And in the case of doing something like with bigger crystals, I find it doesn't slide around as much. Whereas when I'm doing smaller, dainty bling, I want the consistency of the Shtick-It to look like this. So really, it's completely a personal preference, and I work with both. Never had problems with either of them. So just keep in mind that there is nothing wrong with your Shtick-It. It's just really, really cold. Okay, so now my rose is on there. You just need to do a 10-15 second cure just to hold it in place for now. Now what we're going to do is, I hope, and just my arm is a little awkward with my placement here. I'm going to actually, which I have been working with this set, is use our detailer brush. Our detailer brush is super, super tiny. Very, very tiny. Great for doing very fine lines, detailed hand painting. But in this case, because I'm going to be working with tiny bling and tiny caviar beads, I want to use a small brush when I'm applying the Shtick-It. If I use too much Shtick-It when I'm using daintier beads or crystals, we're going to see too much bulkiness in the design, which you don't want. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to just dip in my detailer brush gently. Just because it is very tiny bristles, we also don't want to be putting too much pressure on this brush because you can wreck it easily. And I'm just going to basically paint on my French line where I'm going to apply the faint crystals. Okay? And again, my hand's shaking a little bit because I just want to make sure that I'm getting it pretty good here. Take it right up. So then what I'm going to do is actually create that French line first with the crystals that I'm going to be using. And then I'm going to fill in the rest. You guys, I just honestly I just had to take a minute. I love crystals so much, and wearing it on my nails, I just love it. I just love it. And that's where I got my name Chrystacle from. Just in case you guys didn't know, Chrystacle is not my real name. It is not. I wanted to change it to my real name, but my mom, I asked her if she would be offended, and she said yes. So Chrystacle is just my work name, but everyone calls it to me, even outside of work, so it's kind of caught on nicely. But Chrystacle was created because of my love for crystals. Makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Okay, so now that I've got that all outlined, I'm going to come in and just take maybe some of my smaller crystals. I'm going to take bigger ones, and I'm just going to place, yeah, I'm going to place the big ones. It might look funny right now, but it's going to kind of, start to fill in, and then I'm going to work up the smaller ones. And here's the great thing is this Shtick-It is not cured yet. So for example, if you don't like it, you can take it off. And that's what I'm going to do is because I want to have a consistent smile line, I'm going to work slowly, and I'm going to do this, what I do on one side to the other. So that way, visually, my eye is seeing the symmetry, and then I can play around from there before I actually commit to curing. So now I'm kind of working my way up to use smaller bling once we get closer to the corners. And I might even just taper off actually using the finer beads, just so it doesn't look bulky. I might, see, looking at that now, I'm feeling like this isn't working. So I'm going to take it off. And I feel like this one isn't working. So I'm going to try the caviar beads to taper that off a little bit. Okay. Because I don't want the side of my nail looking too bulky. And that's why I kind of work with different size caviar beads as well. Now, if you guys aren't really, into crystal work, that one's a bit bigger. I gotta get that guy off. Give me a second, you guys. I'm just going to locate some more beads. I want to get the smaller ones. If you're not really, into doing crystal works, but crystal work and you've always kind of wanted to, my tips to you is just to try. Just start with applying your design and go from there, because to be honest, I'm going to start trailing off with these little guys. It takes a while to kind of develop your eye for placement, and really it depends on what you want to do. And for me, I was always afraid to apply any embellishments or crystals, because at the time I didn't have a product like Stick It to help me create such an easy application. And Stick It is amazing because it's easy to apply, easy to remove, and that's the thing, is the removal part. I used to apply these metal embellishments, to my clients' nails in the past, and it was impossible to get them off because you apply them with acrylic, and you had to use so much acrylic to keep them on, and it just was not working for me. Okay, so see how I can shift? I think I'm pretty happy with that. I want to kind of fill in that extra Stick It around the smile line with some really fine, dainty beads. I love using caviar beads to fill in space. They work as great fillers, because even with the SS3s, they are tiny crystals, but I like even tinier. Make sure I'm in the view. And that way, it just kind of adds a little bit more of a something in your design. All right. Thank you to my Ugly Duckling team who is helping me answer the questions you guys may have and being there for support. Okay. So now, before I commit to curing, I want to make sure that I'm looking at my design, making sure I'm happy and everything is good. I just want to push this up a little bit to match for the smile line. I always, when you're doing it, I just kind of envision a T, a T. So I have to make sure those points are exactly across from each other. And sometimes, depending on what kind of bling you're working with, things can shift. I think I'm okay. You definitely can get really picky, and that pickiness adds time to your service. Okay, I'm good with that. Let's cure that, you guys, and start to fill in. I'm just gonna do a quick cure just to set that so we don't have any of the beads shifting everywhere, and then all of a sudden my smile line doesn't look like a smile line. That should be good. Now I'm gonna work and start, I'm gonna just start with the center, and then I'm gonna apply some more Stick It to the outer edges, okay? So I'm gonna pull down because I wanna just apply some bigger ones in the center. When I'm working with crystals, it's always good to work with the bigger ones, heavier stones, center, and then trail and finish the outer edges with tinier ones. So that way, overall, you're not creating extra bulk on the nail. And I really want to use our flat back marquee. These are gorgeous. And I'm just going to align that in the center. Oh my gosh. So exciting. And this is the fun part, because then I get to choose where I put my bling. So I try as much as possible to keep it balanced and even with stones on either side. Like this. What else can I do? Maybe add, let's see about using one of these little rectangle ones. Yeah, let's try it, because then I'll have enough room to tuck in around. Yes, there we go. That looks good. That worked out nice. Perfect. I'm happy with that. I do have some Stick It around here and here. So anytime that you add Stick It, you should apply bling to it, because if you don't and you cure it, you're going to have the stick it higher, and then you're gonna go try apply the crystals around, and it's gonna keep that peak, and it's not gonna lay flat. So I'm just gonna work this way for a second, you guys, because it's really hard to twist my finger. And I'm just gonna start to, in these corners, start filling in with some beads. Okay, and maybe some smaller. This is where it can be very time consuming, but it's worth the wait and the patience. You definitely have the patience. And there's some days when I'm just not feeling it. So if you're not feeling it, I just recommend you walking away from what you're doing and come back to it. Especially when you're dealing with these little guys, it can be, you have to go slow. It's like one bead at a time. And I must say, everybody's, the crystal competition I did recently, just looking at everyone's bling it was amazing. I had so much fun with that. I'm not going to do too many small beads. This is going to be the most. I like to kind of wrap these flat backs with them just to fill in space, because when you're working with the round crystals, it doesn't quite cover every area underneath. And if you're doing a full contact nail, I recommend using like a super sparkly gel polish or color gel. Number 41 gel polish is our silver, which I use for my artwork. And recently, since we've got our color gels, I actually use our number 26 in our color gels. It's so sparkly. And that way, if you do have any areas on the nail that pop through because the crystals or beads don't kind of hide it, no problem, because you have that sparkle base, and it's going to kind of add to your design. Okay, my nail friends, I'm almost done with this. Tuck in all the little beads before I cure it. Okay. We still got exposed stick it, so I'm just going to put some smaller crystals around here. How's everybody doing? You can't go wrong with bling. You really can't. Cool. Put a couple beads in here, and then we're going to cure this, and then I'm just going to basically come in, finish both sides with some more stick it, and just fill in those areas. A lot of times I end up trying to hold my breath because it's like you're working very, very fine, and one breath can move your blinger tool. Okay. Good enough, you guys. Great. What do you guys think so far? Hope you guys like it. So all of the crystals that I'm using are Ugly Duckling Clear as Mud. Just a quick cure. So you can apply the stick it when you're doing a full cover. Well, thank you for the love, you guys. I just saw all the hearts. Come on. Thank you, thank you. If you guys are doing like a full contact nail, you can use our Ugly Duckling gel brush to apply the stick it, no problem. Or you can also use just how I'm doing it. I just pick up a bit on the dotting tool, and then I spread it around with the dotting tool. Everybody has their own preference. So now on the side of the nail, I'm going to come in, and you don't want to put too much on now, because I'm going to be using smaller beads. Oops, I slipped. And what happens is if you have too much stick it on the nail, you don't want to, when you press that stone into the stick it, you don't want the stick it, just wiping off the extra hair, to like completely drown the crystal. Okay, now I'm going to kind of pull some off, wipe it off. Just use what I need. Okay, So let's use some bigger crystals. Not too big, but some of the bigger stones. And now I don't really care too much about being, well, maybe I do actually. Oh, I didn't do that side. I gotta do that side because I'm gonna go back and forth. Because when you look visually on top, you kind of, in this case for me, I want to see consistency on each side with what I'm doing. I want it to mirror one side to the other. So let's just apply here. Make sure it's nice and thin, right down to the edges. Okay. Now, what size did I use? Yeah, there we go. Good. Okay, I'm happy. I'm very, very happy with how this is turning out. I might take a bigger bead and put it in there. We're so close to being done, you guys. Thank you so much for being patient. Okay, so now I don't think you're gonna tell too much by looking from side to side about where the crystals are. I think I'm just gonna start filling in to make it a bit quicker. Great. And now I go, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to just place the crystals on for speed purposes. And then if I feel that I need to come in and, let me see, okay? If I feel that I need to come in and apply beads anywhere as fillers, I'll do so. So I don't want it to be too, I'm starting to run out of the baby crystals, which I'll have to grab some more, the SS3s. And there they are. They're all just flipped upside down. Because I want to use the smaller ones on the outer edges again, because I don't want to create bulk on the nail. And sometimes if I know that I'm going to do like a major cluster on the nail, I will definitely, without structurally compromising the strength of a nail, I will taper it in and thin it out a lot. So that way I kind of compensate for my crystal placement, if that makes sense. Because typically if I would leave the shape how I normally would and then go ahead and apply a ton of crystals, it's going to make that nail look so much thicker than what it actually is. And I learned that the hard way a couple times. Oh, so pretty. I just want to finish this up so that I can kind of dangle it back and forth and look at the sparkle. The suspense. Okay. We're getting there. You know, I just want to take a second while I'm filling this in. And I just want to say thank you to all of our wonderful supporters over the years for your continued support with us. Ever since we hatched in the industry 5 years ago, we have definitely had wrinkles that we needed to iron out, little things as we go along, and having people stand beside us and continue to support us as we grow as a manufacturer has been really amazing to see and so rewarding for us. And I just want you all to know that because of you, we do what we do. And supporting all of the professionals in the industry is so important to us. Offering the best service we possibly can with quality products that you are proud to use and love to use. And just know that we are always here for you. So if you have any questions about our products, if you need support, if you're new in the industry as a newbie, and you need to have that support, we're here for you. I've been there, Natasha's been there. We all know what it's like to enter this industry, being new and having questions and feeling, you know, maybe questioning your questions, whether, oh, is that a silly question? Should I be asking that? This is how we learn. And the industry is constantly changing, you guys. New information surface all the time. You know, what people thought, you know, was a major thing for something may not be, you know, depending on how studies have changed, how products are ever evolving, everything. And I think the most important thing as nail professionals is to be extremely open-minded and educate yourself, ask the questions, and just know that for us, we are always there for you. We will always be there for you, and we look forward to growing with each and every one of you over the coming years. And I just, I'm so thankful for you all. Our distributors, our ambassadors, our family members, nail enthusiasts, nail professionals, thank you. Okay, that was my little speech for you all. Okay, we're almost there, you guys. So close. So close. Oh my gosh. See, the problem is I don't wear these nails every day. And I'll tell you why. Because I can't type. It takes me forever to type with nails this long. I'm just trying to fill in this extra space here. I'm just doing it with the smaller beads, you guys, just because I don't want to, you know, create too much bulk. But we want to keep the outer edges a little bit exposed so that we can take top coat and just kind of finish up around there as well. And I'll show you guys how to do that too, because we applied top coat firstly. And I wanted to do that first just because you can leave it off and apply top coat after your crystal placement, or you can apply it first. And it just depends on what you're doing. But again, just remember, Ugly Duckling, and I don't think I actually mentioned this, but Ugly Duckling Shtick, it does have a slight inhibition layer that needs to be either coated with a top coat or removed with our gel cleanse. Okay, you guys, I think I'm happy with this. I think everything looks okay. Again, if you want, because of course things shift, I just use the side of my my Blinger wax tip, and just kind of push everything back on. And I just absolutely love the fact that the tip is covered in bling. The nail plate, the nail bed area is pink. And that is that. Now, typically, in this case, this one is encased with all of our pointed back crystals. You can see I've kind of tucked them in so the outer edges won't get caught. In this case, what I needed to do is, this one's a bit higher, is created a flatter rose so it doesn't poke up so high. But here in this case, because I used it a little bit differently than I would with this one, it sticks up slightly, which is okay. Just means it's going to catch on me a little bit more. But that's why knowing what design you're going to do and how you need to create your roses. I'm just going to fill in one here. Then we're going to cure it. I'm going to do a quick outer top coat around the sides to cure it or to seal it. And then let's do a final reveal for you guys. And that is Chrystacle's demo. I hope you liked it. And I look forward to you guys recreating it. Again, let's just put this underneath here so you guys can take a peek. What you need to do in order to enter for my demo. And of course, the $150 gift package from Ugly Duckling is going to be my favorite products, which I'm sure you guys can probably guess what is going to be included. So each artist that's going to be demoing today and tomorrow will have a different draw package as well. So it'll be kind of a surprise. And the following week, I believe May 6th or so, we'll advertise it. I will go live and announce all the winners for each of the draws and announce what you won, which will be kind of cool. So make sure to follow both of our Ugly Duckling accounts and my personal account if you already aren't. And when you post, make sure to hashtag Chrystacle's demo. Chrystacle demo. and receive 15% off because you watch this live video, and you'll get the same code on all the videos over the weekend. So you can take advantage of that 15% off in celebration of our Hatchiversary weekend, celebrating our 5 years in the industry. Okay, so now let's just take a little bit. I'm going to take my, nope, it was matte that I used, wasn't it? Where is it? Okay. Now, typically I would use my crystal palette when I am doing this, but right now, because I don't have it beside me and I don't want to get up and go get it, I'm just going to put it on the corner of my bottle, making sure to remove that once I'm done. I'm going to take my detailer brush and I'm just going to take a bit of matte, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to just coat it right around the bling, especially the little babies, because it just kind of really helps to reinforce them in there. And this is going to also seal it so that I don't have to cleanse. If there are any areas that are exposed to the shticket, like inner, you can take this fine detailer brush and go in between and coat it, or just take some cleanse with a brush. And what I did with these ones is I just took the cleanse, I poured a little bit of cleanse on, scrubbed it so that it would take that inhibition layer off. Let's do a full cure. That is all done. Take a final look at my design. I feel like I'm starting to get my words twisted talking so much. And then again, like I had mentioned, you guys, I don't mind seeing what you guys create using a 40 rose and bling. So I would like to see at least half the nail that you do in bling with the 40 rose for it to be entered into my draw. You can do a reverse French, which would be awesome to see. You can do the nail bed area just in crystals, or you can create whatever pattern you like. Because on my nails, I did a little bit of everything. And I want to see how you create your unique style with bling application. Almost done, you guys. Okay, let's have a peek. So in this nail here, I used our fufu. I'm not sure if you can see. I used our fufu, and I just encased some mylar and some of our art color gel actually inside, and then just pulled over a thin layer of our fufu just to kind of add dimension. This is our gel polish number 108 that I used to kind of tie in these two colors of this nail. And overall, oh my gosh, whoa. Hold on a second. I just have to I have to look. Oh my gosh. They look like jewelry. They are so pretty. I love them. I love them. Look at those. Oh my gosh. Okay, would you guys wear a set like this? This is crazy. And what would have been cool, but obviously wouldn't work today, is having a couple, like maybe tumor buds here and here, and then trailed up, so it's not kind of a lonely guy. It kind of looks a bit lonely right now, only because I never used some major bling around here like this one, so it does feel a little bit left out, but no big deal. I just wanted to show you the application process and technique of it anyways. But whoo, I am happy with these. I am definitely going to keep these on for a bit, until Monday at least, because I have all weekend to enjoy them. And I think what my favorite thing is, you guys, is when I'm out and about, and I use my hand when I'm doing things, like, you know, if I'm grabbing something, or, you know, it's not like I do it on purpose, but maybe, you know, kind of flashing them and just looking at people's expressions like, oh my gosh, first of all, those nails are extremely long, and second, the bling just catches everybody's eye. So that is the demo today from me. I just want to thank everyone for joining in on my live today and being part of this wonderful weekend with Ugly Duckling Nails. I want to thank all the artists that will be demoing today, as well as tomorrow. I just thought I'd let you know quickly now. Unfortunately, you just received news, but Josiah will not be able to attend his demo today. He is very sorry that he has to miss it. He did give me permission to mention that he did have emergency surgery, and he thought he would be okay, but he is unable to do it. So we will miss him today, and we just wish him a speedy recovery. So for those of you who we're going to join in on Josiah's demo later today. Unfortunately, he will not be able to attend his demo, but he looks forward to the next weekend of demos. So you guys are all amazing. Thank you so much. Again, take advantage of this Hatch 15 off of Ugly Duckling Nail Products. And enter my draw by the following hashtag, very important. And I look forward to seeing you guys all later in everyone's demo. And can't wait to see all of your entries for each artist draw. And again, you guys can enter all of them. If you choose to, you can. You could potentially win them all if you want to. So just so you know, you don't have to pick and choose. You can do every single demo that every artist does over this weekend. Okay, my nail friends, I will let you go. Thanks so much for joining in. I hope you enjoyed my crystal demo. And I will see you all very shortly. Lots of love from Chrystacle. You guys have an excellent weekend, and we will chat next time. Bye for now, guys.